Steam coiled over the copper urns, silver ladles clinked against porcelain cups, and the smell of toasted marshmallow syrup drifted through Seraph Peak's buzzing great room. Mallory Reyes smiled at the early morning line that snaked past the velvet-roped queue of the hot cocoa bar. A powder day always meant heavy traffic. Families returning from the first chairlift clomped in with snow-packed boots, chanting the flavor names she had painted on chalkboards. Rocky Road Mocha, Cherry Cordial, Salted Caramel. Mallory moved quickly, topping a mug with whipped cream, spiraling dark chocolate shavings, and passing it to a shivering beginner who looked as though her skis had dragged her down rather than the other way around. To Mallory, the bar was both stage and sanctuary, a place to practice small acts of comfort while eavesdropping on the mountain's constant gossip. That gossip turned serious when the resort's public address speakers crackled overhead. Attention, avalanche mitigation test will commence at dawn 20. Please avoid the Bliss Bowl boundary. The announcement drew a wave of murmurs. Avalanche tests were routine, but the timing was odd. With the all-mountain freestyle final scheduled that afternoon, most mitigation work should have finished the night before. Mallory's best friend, the reigning snowboard champion Ridge Takeda, had dropped by the bar at dawn, eyes shining with his usual mixture of mischief and focus. He'd joked that he might land a cab 1440 so clean, the judges will ask to see my birth certificate. He had headed up to the high alpine training zone for a warm-up run. Bliss Bowl sat 2 ridges over from that zone, but shared the same north-facing wall. Any unexpected slide there could funnel snow, debris, and cold fear straight toward Ridge's practice lane. As Euro 920 approached, Mallory glanced at the red digital clock above the espresso machine. Euro 9:18. A ski patroller in a neon orange shell entered, holding an avalanche whistle on a lanyard, a chunky 2-chambered horn used for manual signal blasts when detonation charges were set to fire. He bypassed the paying customers, leaned over the counter, and spoke hurriedly. "Hey, you're Mallory, right? Seen Chief Wexler. He's supposed to have the whistle with the silver band. Mine has a gold band." Mallory shook her head. "Haven't seen him. Isn't the color just preference?" "Not for the chief. Silver band's keyed to the remote firing switch. Saves him from carrying a separate transmitter." The patroller, name tag Cooper, glanced at the clock, barked a curse under his breath, and jogged out the rear exit toward the operations hallway. The line shuffled forward, but Mallory's thoughts fell backward. In training last spring, Ridge had explained that avalanche control teams sometimes embedded a small RFID tag inside designated whistles. If the tag wasn't within 5 meters of the remote charges, the system would lock out. It was an extra safety layer. Chief Wexler apparently had that keyed whistle. Gold band, silver band, wrong whistle, wrong time. Mallory felt her stomach drop the way it might on steep, untracked snow. So 920 lit up. A thunderous boom echoed across the windows facing the mountain. Mallory's heart knocked against her ribs. Patrons froze, mugs halfway to their lips. Booms were normal. But only if the chief had the right switch. Radio chatter blasted from the lobby security desk. "Slide. Significant slide off Ridge 3. We've got 1 rider in the gully, snowboarder, requests immediate evac. GPS signal belongs to Ridge Takeda. Repeat, Ridge Takeda." Mallory could almost taste metallic panic. Without thinking, she turned the cocoa bar over to her assistant, grabbed her soft shell jacket, and sprinted. She wasn't ski patrol, but she'd grown up on these slopes, spent off days skinning into backcountry bowls, and she carried an avalanche beacon in her locker out of habit. Ridge was out there, alone or buried. Outside, a helicopter rotored overhead, rotors thwacking the thin mountain air. Patrol snowmobiles screamed up the service road. Mallory flagged down Cooper, who was fastening his helmet. "I'm coming." He started to object, saw the determination in her eyes, and nodded once. She clipped on a radio, strapped skis to her pack, and slung a thermos of thick cocoa, Ridge's favourite, into her mesh side pocket. Comfort might be useless against tons of crushing snow, yet she needed something warm to carry. Patrollers established incident command at the Bliss Bowl overlook. From there, a corniced headwall dropped into a tight chute that met the practice lane where Ridge had been riding. An ugly crown fracture, maybe 300 feet wide, left dirty snow stains on the mountainside. Mallory clicked into her skis and followed Cooper down a safe route flagged with bamboo wands. In her headset, she heard Chief Wexler's distorted voice. Charges went off early, trying to establish how the lockout overrode. Focus on rescue first. The debris field looked like a frozen ocean mid-storm, waves of compressed snow littered with splintered branches. 2 patrollers probed systematically. A Reco scanner chirped, and the search dog barked near an air hole. That air hole turned into Ridge's glove punching through. He was alive, miraculously riding a pocket beneath a broken tree trunk. They hauled him free, coughing and white-faced. One wrist sagged at a wrong angle, and blood seeped from a shallow head cut, but he remained conscious. Ridge locked eyes with Mallory as the sled was prepared. The snow cracked after the whistle blew, he rasped. Thought mitigation was scheduled last night. Someone screwed the timing. Mallory squeezed his uninjured hand. "We'll figure it out. Focus on breathing." Back at the lodge clinic, doctors set Ridge's wrist and declared him out of the competition. His sponsors paced the hallway, running damage control. Mallory poured the still hot cocoa into a ceramic cup, nested it in Ridge's good hand, and waited until he took a grateful sip. Then she stepped out to confront the larger question: why had an avalanche control blast fired with the wrong whistle? Chief Wexler stood near the vending machines, face grizzled, uniform jacket dusted with snow. Cooper and 2 supervisors ringed him. Mallory approached. "Chief, I think someone switched your whistle." Wexler's eyes narrowed. "You're the cocoa lady?" She bristled. "I'm also a backcountry instructor and Ridge's friend. Cooper told me about the silver band whistle. We need to know where it is." Wexler pulled a gold band whistle from his pocket. "This one was hanging on my office hook 10 minutes before the shot. I tested the RFID handshake, green light, so I keyed the firing code. Didn't notice the band color until afterward." "Could someone counterfeit the tag?" "Not easily. Codes rotate daily." Mallory thought of the line of patrons earlier. The backpacks, jackets, helmets. Anyone could have ducked behind the operations corridor. "Show me your office." Chief Wexler raised an eyebrow but led her there. The room was cluttered with topo maps, avalanche reports, and a coffee mug crusted with days-old grounds. On a side table lay a foam cutout that obviously housed a whistle, now empty. A red lanyard dangled from it, broken. "Was it broken this morning?" Mallory asked. "No. That lanyard was intact last night. Somebody yanked it." She scanned the desk's mess. A sticky note bore Ridge's name, along with his bib number and practice times. Wexler caught her stare. "I log competitor schedules to avoid blasting while anyone's on course. Normal procedure." Yet today's blast contradicted that log. Someone had overridden procedure, armed with a counterfeit tag. Who would benefit? Ridge's absence from finals opened the field dramatically. The second-ranked rider, Jax Calder, came to mind. Jax was known for aggressive marketing deals and rumoured to be on shaky contract renewals if he didn't place first this season. Mallory excused herself and returned to the great room, now quieter as guests digested lunch. On a flat screen, commentators replayed drone footage of the slide, circled the crown, speculated about equipment failure. At a corner table near the fireplace, Jax Calder lounged with an entourage in matching neon hoodies. He tossed grapes into the air and caught them in his mouth, laughing too loudly for the somber day. Mallory grabbed 2 hot cocoa shots, mini cups the bar served for tasting flights, and walked over. "Heard Ridge is out," Jax said, smirking. "Bummer." "Awful," Mallory agreed, placing 1 shot in front of him. "Compliments of the house." Jax downed it in a gulp. She observed a faint, circular indentation on his right thumb, like one pressed into soft wax. Her father, a locksmith, had taught her about hobbyist RFID cloners. They often required holding a thumb steady on the device platform. "Got plans this afternoon?" she asked casually. "Massage, media, gold medal." He glanced at his smartwatch. "Need to carb load soon." Mallory's phone buzzed. Cooper texted, "Whistle Wise silver band found in parking lot trash can, next to buttered popcorn bag." "Cameras?" she replied. "Check lodge lobby cams. Wait, 50900. Popcorn." The smell had flooded the hallway earlier when the concession stand opened. Mallory remembered seeing a lodge employee push a bin full of bags toward the staff elevator. Trails of butter splotches had led into operations. She headed for security control. Inside a dim room of monitors, Cooper fast-forwarded footage. Wait 52, a figure in neon hoodie, identical to Jax's crew, entered the staff elevator, carrying a bucket of popcorn and a red lanyard dangling. The angle wasn't clear enough for a positive ID, but good enough to warrant questions. Mallory printed a still image and returned to Jax's table. "Know this guy?" she asked, sliding the printout across the wooden surface. Jax's pupils dilated by a fraction. "One of my interns, maybe. Hard to tell with the hood." "Your intern walked into Patrol HQ, swapped whistles, walked out. That slide nearly killed Ridge. Explain." The entourage fell silent. Jax stood, chair scraping. "You accusing me of sabotage? Lady, I ride boards, not bombs." "Then surrender your phone history, and let's clear it up with Patrol." Jax's jaw clenched. His gaze flicked to the clinic hallway, as if calculating flight. Before he could move, Chief Wexler and 2 resort security officers arrived, summoned by Cooper's discreet alert. "Mr. Calder," Wexler said, voice granite hard, "we need a statement." Jax raised his hands. "Fine, let's talk, but I didn't program any whistle." A negotiation moved to a private conference room. Mallory waited outside, pacing. After 15 minutes, Wexler exited, rubbing his temples. He denies involvement, claims the hoodie could be anyone's, says he was filming TikToks in the terrain park. Mallory thought. Hot cocoa bar receipts, security logs, RFID logs, clues were scattered. The Avalanche Systems computer would store the tag serial number that authenticated the blast. She asked Wexler for access. Together, they opened the Avalanche control laptop sealed inside a Pelican case. The log showed tag ID STEER A9B4C2E1 triggered the detonation. Each whistle's tag list was in a binder. Mallory flipped pages until she found A9B4C2E1, associated not with Wexler's silver band whistle, but with a training demo unit stored in the ski school's gear closet. Why would anyone use the demo unit? Mallory wondered aloud. Wexler scratched his beard. "Demo tag isn't in any whistle. It's glued inside a piece of plexiglass so novices can see the circuitry. That plexiglass never leaves the classroom. Unless someone pried it out. Mallory requested the closet key, hurried down 2 flights and unlocked the door. The plexiglass frame lay on a shelf, its center cracked, tag missing. On the floor lay popcorn kernels. She radioed security. Tag stolen from ski school closet. Single hinge screws removed recently. Jax's intern, another suspect. Returning upstairs, she spotted a maintenance cart parked adjacent to the staff elevator. The janitor, Maria, polished brass railings. On the cart sat an empty popcorn bucket. Her uniform bore the same neon color as Jax's hoodies, common resort branding for housekeeping. "Busy morning," Mallory said. Maria nodded. Chaos. Tourists drop wrappers everywhere. Mallory's gaze fell to Maria's left thumb, swaddled in a small bandage. "Cut yourself?" "Draw pinch." Mallory's mind connected dots. Popcorn for disguise, maintenance passepartout for staff doors, a bandaged thumb from prying plexiglass. She recalled Maria's teenage daughter, Annika, a rising snowboarder who had blown her ACL finals qualifier last month, losing promised sponsorship to Jax Calder's brand. Maria caught Mallory staring and stiffened. "Something else you need?" Before Mallory could reply, her radio squawked. "Clinic requesting assistance. Ridge wants Mallory." She excused herself but flagged a security guard to shadow Maria discreetly. Ridge was propped on pillows. "They say I'll heal," he said, half smile creeping. "But I'm missing finals." "Better alive and cranky." Mallory filled him in. Ridge listened, frowning. "If sabotage, motive matters. Money, revenge, or both. Jax profits if I'm out, but he's too high profile to handle hardware himself. He could bribe someone, sure, though Maria's daughter losing sponsorship to him adds a fresh angle." Mallory agreed. "The kids call that motive double black diamond." She squeezed his fingers. "Rest. I'll keep digging." In the hall, she bumped into Annika, crutching along cautiously. ACL brace peeked beneath snow pants. She looked surprised to encounter Mallory. "Visiting Ridge," she said. "Kind of you," Mallory replied, eyes narrowing. "Tough season for you, huh?" Annika's lips tightened. "Yeah, sponsors dropped me like bad Wi-Fi. Calder's brand included. They picked him, cut me." She gestured to her knee. "Can't blame them." Mallory's instincts flared. "Know anything about a whistle switch?" Annika's freckles blanched. "What? No." "Your mum must be worried about your future," Mallory pressed gently. "Sometimes parents do reckless things for kids." Annika's eyes filled. "Mum's cleaning rooms non-stop, saving for my surgery bill. She wouldn't hurt anybody." "Accidents hurt people too." Annika shook her head and hobbled away, tears shimmering. Mallory sighed, fighting guilt. She needed evidence, not intimidation. She retrieved the broken plexiglass. Dust clung to the edges, fine sawdust, not typical in ski school. Maintenance woodshop below the lodge produced plenty. Maria's cart travelled those corridors daily. Cooper called. Lab scanned popcorn bucket for prints, mostly smudged butter, but one partial matching Maria's employee record. Enough for questioning. Maria was brought to an office. Mallory requested permission to sit in. Wexler, as incident commander, led. Maria's shoulders sagged as images were laid out. The plexiglass, the broken lanyard, the security still. Tears welled. "I didn't mean to endanger anyone," she whispered. "I thought the blast zone was empty. Ridge wasn't scheduled there until 10. "Schedule changed," Wexler said. "Why steal the tag at all?" Maria wrung hands. "Jax's agent approached me last week in the hallway after hearing me talk about bills." He offered 5,000 cash if I delayed the avalanche test, so Jax could shoot a clean promo clip on untouched snow. Said the charges would happen later, no harm. He gave me instructions to fetch a tag and swap whistles with this fake one in case timing mismatched. I thought it was just a harmless reschedule. Mallory felt fury simmer. Jax's agent's name? Brett Lawson. Mallory recognized the slick man often hovering near Jax. He had not been on any suspect list yet. Wexler radioed resort security to locate Lawson. Meanwhile, Mallory asked, "Did Lawson specify Ridge could be on that slope? He said all competitors were restricted until afternoon. I swear." Intent mattered for the courts, but Ridge had still nearly died. Wexler escorted Maria to file an official statement. Mallory hunted for Lawson, finding him outside the broadcast truck scanning through highlight clips. He feigned surprise when patrol officers cuffed him. He tried to claim Maria's story was false, but Venmo records showed a $5,000 consulting payment, and his texts to her spelled out the switch step by step. As Lawson was led away, Jax Calder appeared, face sheet white. "I had no idea," he insisted. "Brett went rogue." "Your badge sits on every paycheck he cuts," Mallory snapped. "If you didn't know, you should have." Evening settled over Seraph Peak. The freestyle finals went ahead under floodlights. A vigil held Ridgeside for avalanche awareness replaced the medal ceremony. Ridge watched from a balcony, arm in a sling, sipping spiced Mexican cocoa courtesy of Mallory. The scoreboard displayed asterisks rather than rankings, a protest by remaining riders who refused to crown a champion on a tainted day. Below, patrons clustered at the hot cocoa bar, sharing the story of how a bar manager had sniffed out a conspiracy with the same acuity she used to smell scalding milk. Ridge exhaled frosted air and turned to Mallory. "You saved my life, twice. Once by digging me out, again by digging for truth." She shrugged, eyes misty. "I just followed scents, cocoa, popcorn, and wrongdoing." "Heard they're offering you a role on the safety committee," he said. "Already accepted," Mallory replied. "But I'm not giving up the cocoa bar. People need warmth as much as warnings." Lights twinkled on the distant slopes, carving soft arcs through darkness. The mountain would bear new scars come sunrise, but also fresh tracks. Ridge lifted his mug. "To second chances." Mallory clinked hers against his. "And to knowing which whistle you blow before you pull any trigger."